environment in which we are operating. One skill that our leaders need to have is the skill to negotiate effectively with all kinds of stakeholders. Because we are looking at getting people to work out of their skin, we'll have to work with, negotiate with our own people also. We are looking at an industry which is highly cost competitive. We will have to negotiate with our, suppliers and customers also. We are working in an industry which is highly vulnerable to a lot of regulatory, pressures and a lot of compliances. So we have to negotiate with those stakeholders also. So negotiation is something that is intrinsic to any senior manager's job, but especially in our context, it is becoming much more critical. And that's an area where it's also a part of balancing perspectives and finding win-win solutions. It's a creative problem-solving process where you are engaging with the participants who may not start off on the same page as you, but ultimately we have to converge on the same page. And those are the kind of solutions that senior managers have to take up. And our chairman sir was very keen that this is one area where I want my people to really, sharpen their skills and be pretty good at. And it was, again, as I said, imperative that we take some interventions to discuss and deliberate on the nuances of this topic. And that's why we are here today, and we have requested Ninad Patel Saab and Chandrasekhar Saab to share their insights with us. Of course, Rajesh will introduce them more formally, but the reason we requested them is because they're people who understand large organizations, who understand the negotiation processes that are followed in organizations where, again, the context, the operating context can also have a bearing on how you go about negotiation, what kind of space you have. And I'm sure that whatever insights we pick up as points of departure will trigger a new thought process. And that's the purpose of Antardrashti. It's not really to resolve all the problems right now in 1 hour. The idea is to trigger a new thought process. And then we can explore how we can get better at it going forward. So with that context, I request Rajesh to take over the process from here.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for very aptly setting the context that especially as seasoned leaders, we have to do a multiple layers of negotiation with different stakeholders. So now let me welcome the speakers for the day. We have Ninad Patil sir with us. So very good evening, sir. Ninad Patil sir is a seasoned professional and he is leading Mint negotiating programs and also Ruan Food Tech LLP, which is expertise in supply chain. But I must say that sir has got a good amount of experience, more than 25 years of experience in supply chain, tender, sales and procurement. He has engaged with more than 30 organizations in recent past, and primarily he specializes in strategic business negotiation, communications, and networking skills. Sir is a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and also has executive education from ISB Hyderabad, and is also has a brief stint in a Tata Steel also. So while we're discussing, sir also said he was steel sector he has been part of the steel sector also. We have also with us Shekhar Chandrasekhar sir. Very good evening, sir. Sir is CEO, coach, and systems thinkers, and he offers facilitation, coaching, and training services with the focus on mindfulness and systems consulting. Sir has delivered also a TEDx talk on the personal and world transformation, and has worked with numerous organizations like Coca-Cola, L'Oreal, Tata Group. Sir, we have already shared the LinkedIn profile, so I will not take much time. And without much ado, I will hand over the stage to you so that we can listen to both of you, sir. So we welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh ji and Sanjay ji, for inviting us for this wonderful interaction. We are privileged and also very delighted to be amongst the SAIL leadership team today. And as Sanjay ji has set the context about, all the leaders having the need to negotiate better with internal as well as external stakeholders so that there is more value created in the organization. The relationships are maintained with a very human-centric approach, of course. So this very subject of negotiation is somewhere within us from a very young age. Our demand to our parents, our needs, our wants, how we present them, how we get them, and from that young age we are negotiating for something or other that are our core needs. And these small techniques, how to get things done from others, how to get what we want, are embedded into our patterns of thinking, our behavior, our style of leadership. So it's within every one of us. And then as we grow up to become professionals with the experience, expertise, and the competency that we all develop over the years, these skills become more profound and more powerful, and we are able to deliver much more through these skills. Where SAIL as an organization and this team managing thousands of crores in revenue, cost, people, resources. I think there is definitely no defiance of the fact that there are the skills are there within this team. It is not that it does not exist or somebody has to learn it. It is within us. With this intervention, we wish to bring out some reflective questions where we can generate these insights and we can recognize the skills which are there within ourselves, and then expand our view around this whole idea of negotiating better and getting outcomes which are which really create a win-win situation for all, value for the stakeholders, and you do it without compromising with any of the objectives or the high performance targets that are set. And at the same time, there is humanity, which forms the foundation of this whole idea of negotiating. So we can, Rajesh, if you can just give me the permission to share the screen.
Sir, I believe you already have it. You can try it out.
Yeah. Everybody can see the screen. Maybe just a thumbs up can help.
Yes, sir. Yes, we can see it.
Thank you so much. So, setting the context, I would start with a small story from the Mahabharata, where before the great war of Kurukshetra, both Arjun and Duryodhana felt the need, to ask help from Lord Krishna, that we need your help to fight this war. And it was a very difficult decision for Lord Krishna to take. On which side does he stay? And the option, that was presented to the Kauravas and the Pandavas was, whether you get Krishna or his full army. So to get this help from Krishna, Duryodhana and Arjuna reached his palace, and Krishna was resting at that time. He was asleep. So Duryodhana came and sat near his head, and Arjuna was near his feet. So Duryodhana had arrived first. However, when Krishna opened his eyes, he could see Arjuna first. And he asked Arjuna, what help do you want from me from these two options? You can either ask for me or the whole army. So Duryodhana was very aghast. He said, I have come here first and you are not asking me the first option. Why is that? You are asking Arjuna, giving him the first chance. So the question here is, do we position ourselves to make the first offer or get the first chance? So when you are at somebody's feet, or not literally, but you are you are respectful of that person, there is a very high probability that you will get the first chance. Does that make sound some bells, bring in some insights of positioning yourself when you are negotiating? And that is how, Krishna had the option, and he asked the wisdom of Arjuna had the option, and he asked for the wisdom and presence of Krishna and not the whole army. So whether you go for tangible things, the army was a tangible resource in a war, and the presence of Krishna was about his wisdom, about his presence. So whether you go for tangible things or whether you have the ability to select intangibles and create value from them. So these are some simple things that come out of the story. But there is one more important aspect and a simple question that I'm going to present to this forum is that who is your customer? So when I ask this question from a negotiation perspective, so whom do you consider to be your customer? Any quick?
So customers can be internal and external, sir. Whoever comes to get my service is my customer.
Right.
How we deal.
Whoever comes to get a service is a customer. Now most of the time, what happens is this simple philosophy is always there with us, that whoever comes for my service is my customer. But how do we practice it? Because if everybody around us is our customer, we will be spending a lot of time serving them, because we have to take care of their expectations. We have to ensure, if you call them your customer, you have to ensure that their needs are met. And sometimes they are your supplier, they are your subordinate, they are people working with you on the shop floor, they are your colleagues. Now, if you say that everybody is my customer, you really need to work hard to satisfy them, isn't it? Does it seem a very difficult task? Probably that is where these interventions help us, refresh with new thought. So the thought is very good that everybody is my customer. So we had our G20 host summit last year, and the tagline for that summit was Vasudevaya Kutumbakam. The whole world is my family. So bringing that concept, yes, we can bring that concept and say, yes, everybody around me is my customer and I will work towards their satisfaction. But more importantly, you should also be able to get something back, something in return which is worthwhile for serving your customer. So when you say that everybody is my customer, and you probably somewhere do not have the exact framework to get back what you want, that is where the problems start, or that is where the problems arise, and you are burdened with so many things to do, so many expectations, and not getting things back in return. So this is the first thought I want to present here, that although we think that yes, everybody is my customer, even my subordinate has some needs from me, and I'll ensure that those needs are met. Getting back what we want for that service is extremely important, and that is where these negotiation skills come into play. Let us go to the any quick reflections here. Great. So coming to this question, again, is negotiation a process of getting what you want? So do we kind of agree or disagree to this, or we have some mixed views? Okay, let us elaborate this now. So during your childhood, almost everybody here would have asked for a bicycle from their parents. And what was the probability that you got the bicycle at that time? A bit higher? A bit higher, because you know the probability of getting a bicycle was higher. Okay. And why was that probability higher? Can anybody just think through it? So the probability of getting the bicycle for a young child is higher because the father also gets to imbibe a new skill into the child, and also he gets him into a healthy habit. So there is something there for the parents also to gain. Now think of a situation when you got into college and you asked for a motorbike. The probability becomes very, very low because the gain for your parents is not visible. There is probably no tangible gain for his parents. It is more of a stress for them, for a young teenager going around on a motorbike around town, and you don't know about safety, what will happen. So this is where the crux of negotiations lie. Do our proposals prioritize the needs of the other side? Are we conscious on, when we demand something from others, do we really look at what the other side needs in return of that? So, I would bring a business case story here to, really elaborate this in a professional context. This story is about a commercial negotiation. It is about 4 stakeholders: the procurement team, the project team, the end user team, and the audit team, which is part of the story. Now, this is about a commercial tender, which was for installing a large number of elevators in an educational complex, which was under development. The phase 1 of the development was done, and a particular company had installed around 15, 17 elevators in that complex. Now, the second phase of development was going on, and the project and the procurement team had a view that this is the last phase of development, and we probably don't want another supplier to come in with another set of equipment, which will create complexities in the long-term maintenance, space management, and the serviceability of the equipment in the long run. And with that view, they went to the audit team, and they could easily convince the audit team that can we give, even after the bidding, if this company is not the lowest bidder, can we give them a right of first refusal? So that was a need that everybody is clear on the right of first refusal. Hope we are clear on that. So even if they are L2 or L3, they will be called in and asked to match the L1 price so that they get the contract. So this proposal was now needed to be taken to the vice chancellor of the university, who was the 4th stakeholder in this case, and whose approval was necessary as a purchase committee to approve this strategy that we go for a right of first refusal. So when this team went to the vice chancellor of the university, it was not important for him at all. It did not matter. He said, "मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ता है?" So, and also a small incident had happened in the earlier installation during a service issue, where the VC had some altercation with the service guys, and he was probably not very comfortable with that elevator company. So he said, why are you favoring somebody? And why do you want to, really let whoever bids L1, give him the order? I don't care. So this discussion happened over a call, but the project team and the procurement team was still keen. So they called him once again, said, "Sir, we request you, this will be better for you in the long run. You have a single brand and a single point of contact for the services." So the vice chancellor, got very angry. He was actually under a lot of pressure. This was a new university. The admissions were not happening as per the expectations of the management. And he said, I am under a lot of pressure, so many different things to handle, and you are nudging with me with an unnecessary thing, which I don't care. You just give the contract to the L1. I am not going to be a part of your strategy. And one more time you call me for this, I am going to raise this issue with the MD that this is an the teams are trying to favor a particular supplier, and you will be in danger. Now think about the situation of the procurement and the project team. Extremely difficult. Integrity at stake, project timelines at stake, and these things. I am certain that these are the internal things that matter to large organizations, and these are some of the discussions or some of the complexities that arise in large organizations, which are common to all. So what could be a possible solution? The team knew that any amount of further persuasion could be disaster. It was the integrity of this whole team was at stake. Now, fortunately, what had happened just a couple of days before was the sales head of this elevator company had approached the procurement team with a request. And what was that request? That request was that we are very soon printing the yearly calendar of our company. And we wish to print a photograph of your university building as a marquee project in this year's calendar. Now, that is where, some lateral thinking happened. And the base for that lateral thinking was empathy. Because the procurement person who was involved here, was empathic towards the needs of the VC. He thought, VC को भी बहुत ज़्यादा tension है. Generally we think, he is not aligning with us. How do we get him to, align to what we want? And we sometimes even say कि अरे बहुत difficult आदमी है, पता नहीं कैसे करेंगे. But however, being empathic, this procurement guy was able to understand the real need. The real need of the business was to get admission, was to get students, was to get revenue. And when he combined the dots, a calendar of an elevator company would reach around 10,000 people in the industry, out of which at least 2,500, 3,000 are high net worth individuals who are probable customers for a private university. And that is where, that Eureka moment struck. And that is where the project and the procurement team went to the Vice Chancellor again with this proposal of printing, a beautiful photograph of the university on the first page of the calendar of this elevator company, which could generate a good amount of promotion, a good amount of visibility to the target customer. And that is where the Vice Chancellor was, kind of convinced that yes, if this is the proposition and this is the value that, can be generated out of this, I can agree to give a right of first refusal to this company. So whenever you think about getting what you want, it is also extremely important to understand what the other side wants and how do you prioritize their needs to get what you want. So to summarize this small story and this slide, we say that negotiation is a process of giving them what they want at our own terms. So that rather than looking at it as a process of getting what you want, it is about giving them what they want at your terms. Any quick perspectives or anything that comes to your mind before we go on to the next slide? A relevant discussion. Such cases do happen around. Great. So the second question that we present here is negotiation a person-dependent process? So many a times we want to implement things across various locations. However, one location, the location head at that particular factory is able to implement that change within a very short time. And at another factory, there is a great amount of resistance which the factory head there is not able to manage. So, are we as an organization dependent upon an individual's ability to drive crucial decisions? Or do we follow some frameworks of negotiation and ensure that whenever such crucial decisions are to be implemented across the organization, there is some amount of standardization, there is some amount of, a structure to how we are going to execute and implement those decisions. So,
I think that we have one comment that personal effectiveness does matter.
yes, personal effectiveness does matter, and that is where these skills and these techniques, if implemented in a more structured way, where negotiation is a difficult art, and personal effectiveness is part of that execution, that art. So somebody can be better, somebody can be a bit not so good at it. So people who are probably not so good at it, can they be brought up to a level where organizations have some amount of structure and framework and standardization into the processes? So this is a very important question, because this is a very simple case. However, when it comes to sales, actual revenue, actual procurement activities where there is a lot of money at stake. So these things, at one location you are able to drive the cost and revenue very well. Other location you are not, and that is where things matter. Hope we are all in sync with these ideas and how we go about these ideas. The third question that we bring to this forum is whether doing small favors will impress the other party to reciprocate in a similar way when their turn comes. And a very simple example presented here is, that you might have a lot of suppliers who always call and say, "Sir, gaadi thoda late aa raha hai. Can the store person, wait for 15 more minutes? Can he wait for 30 more minutes and, receive the material?" And such small requests, keep on coming from a lot of stakeholders. And depending upon our style of negotiating, we respond to these requests. So now when these requests are made, and when it is your turn to make a demand, sometimes we find that these people don't respond in a similar fashion. When it is your turn to get something in return. So it is very important that whenever you pass on such small concessions, are you locking in something in return immediately? If you have not locked something in return, it is probably very, very difficult to get something in return at a later stage. So a very simple technique, but extremely effective. Now, with this slide, I would also want to bring in another perspective of the style of negotiation, because how you respond to these requests depend upon your style of negotiation. Whether you are accommodating, whether you are compromising, whether you are avoiding, whether you are collaborating, whether you are competing, or whether you are authoritative. If you are authoritative, you will say, "No, I will not accommodate you." If you are accommodating, you will say, "Okay, wait, do, main rukta hu." You will not even care what your other interests are. That is what you do when you are compromising. Like your child is waiting for you at home to take him to the park or to the movie, and you are sitting here compromising on your objectives, waiting for the supplier's vehicle to come. So bringing in that small discussion of personal styles, whether we understand our personal style of negotiation, whether we adapt to the external situations and select the right style at the right time. Because it is not that you can be only in a collaborative negotiation mode always. You need to, identify the style and the necessity of the situation to implement that and execute that style. A relevant discussion again, because sometimes we are too busy that we just pass on these things and हमको पता नहीं है हम कैसा negotiate करते हैं. Again, a price discovery thing, a very simple concept to bring in. So do we ask for a proposal or do we make a proposal? So we saw it in the Krishna story that whoever gets to make the first offer or the first proposal, it has some advantage. And we might have also gone through a lot of other leadership and sales trainings and procurement trainings where we, must have learned concepts like anchoring, BATNA, and things around, first mover advantage. So whether, how do we start the price discovery conversation? So these are patterns in our mind. So, if you can recollect, probably my mother must be buying bhendi from the market for the last 50 years. But still when she goes to the market, she will ask bhendi kaisa diya. So these are patterns. So instead of, and again, I've seen so many salespeople who come to you and say, sir, aap batao na aapka kya expectation? They are losing their chance to make the offer. They are empowering the other person to to make the first offer. This is a grave mistake during negotiations. Please take your position. Please make the first offer. Don't wait for the other party to force or anchor their offer for you. And it might still sometimes happen. So what do you do when the first offer comes in from the other side? So are we conscious? Are we prepared? How deep is our preparation? Can we challenge those initial proposals? Can we bring the real facts? Can we challenge the assumptions? So these are all, small things of reflection, insights, and self-discovery about this beautiful process of negotiation. And yes, we have paucity of time and we might be going very fast for things, but we have to respect time. And that brings us to this slide which says, is negotiation an art? So,
it should be an open question, sir. Whether
yes. Yeah. So the question is negotiation an art which a very few people are able to develop and execute? So any quick reflections on this important question here?
Any response, sir, from the audience?
Responses, please.
Sir, it is not only an art, sir. It is also an act of diplomacy, sir.
An act of
diplomacy.
Diplomacy, yes. Yes, definitely. Diplomacy is an important aspect of negotiation. How you, diplomatically place your responses to certain situations. What else? Anybody else from the forum?
One person is agreeing in the chat box that it is an art.
Agreeing that it is an art. Yes.
Others may like to say some other view, or is it the same?
It's an art, but it can be developed.
It's an art, but it can be developed. Great. Yes, sir. That is a very well articulated insight, because management, leadership, a lot of things we do as professionals, we have developed ourselves. So we do read a lot of books. We do try to study a lot of content. The art of ego-free leadership. So this is one book. Never.
I would say preparation for negotiation is an art rather than negotiation itself being an art.
Yes. So in one of the books of negotiation, they have very clearly mentioned that your chances of getting desired outcome increases by 7:1 if you are well prepared. It is very well researched and documented, sir. So preparation is the the first step when we look at the framework of negotiation. Preparation is the first step, and the chances of getting desired outcome is 7:1. It is so high.
Right, right.
Any other perspective? So let us bring in this perspective that yes, it is an art, a difficult art to learn and develop, but modern management research in psychology and how we look at uh, customers, their expectations, stakeholders, managing and keeping them satisfied. Negotiation has now become a well-developed science which all of us can learn and practice for business and life. So with that thought, uh, I would request Shekhar sir to come in with some aspects of humanity into this process of negotiation. Hello, everybody.
Hello, sir.
You can see also. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Once again, thank you very much. I think you have been all very patiently listening to what Mr. Ninad had to say. And I must say that this is the first time I have seen Mr. Ninad go at such a fast clip. He is generally a slow and reflective speaker. And today he was like Vande Bharat. So that is one. The most important thing I would like to share here is we are keeping alarms and managing the time, Rajeshji.
Sir.
Yeah, is that negotiation there is a book called Uncommon Sense and Common Nonsense. And there is a lot of common nonsense in this thing called negotiation, which I think that in the program that we are doing or in the work of negotiation, common nonsense needs to be eliminated. And uncommon sense has to be brought in. So how do we do this? Example, this Sunday there was an AGM in our building. And AGM and within no time, people who are smiling and being very nice all became very violent. And there was maramari and all these things. And I had to retreat, thinking that, this is not the right and a good place for me. Similarly, even in a negotiation, when we go into a negotiation, are we going into a negotiation with deciding how we are going to behave when difficult things come up? Can we have that kind of, in facilitation or in many times, here are the rules that we are going to follow when we are going to negotiate. Very simple rule. If there is something which we don't agree or understand, can we ask for a clarification, etc., etc. But we don't continue to sit with our invisible thinking and continue to fight unknown battles on a negotiation field. So this is, I think, one of the most important things of the art of negotiation, how to get what you want. And I'm still very much enamored, even though Ninadji says so, and I'm very much enamored by that thing that everything you want on my terms. Everything you want on my terms. Now, that's a very subtle, complex thing to get into activity and planning. But that is what we need to aim for in a negotiation. And in fact, so much so that a lot of people, there is a lot of books on negotiation and all that, and that makes everybody feel, yeah, I'm an expert on negotiation, which it may not be. Sometimes I feel if I want to have a Musambi instead of papaya, I find very difficult to negotiate even at home. So I would like to leave everybody with that thought for the time being. Since I'm seeing the time.
Everyone finds it difficult to negotiate at home.
Yeah, very much, sir, very much. नमस्कार. बहुत ही मुश्किल है बच्चों के साथ भी. हमको ऐसा लगता है कि सिर्फ बीवी है या spouse, in order to include everybody,
But also we feel, I think nowadays, next to impossible to negotiate with my daughter.
No, actually, one thing is inherent in that because we are emotionally attached.
Ah,
So even in negotiation, if you are emotionally attached to something,
very,
you are negotiating for are the people with you whom you are negotiating, then
yes,
it becomes very difficult to negotiate.
yes, yes. In fact, सर मैं सोचता हूँ डॉक्टर साहब कि कुछ नेगोशिएशन वर्ड ही निकल जाए, कुछ और कुछ प्यार भरा कुछ नाम उसके लिए रखा जाए, ताकि फिर हम लोग नेगोशिएट करते हैं ऐसा कहना ही नहीं पड़े। नेगोशिएशन कम्स विद लिटिल बिट ऑफ अ लोड ऑफ कुछ चालाकी कर रहा है, कुछ मैनिपुलेट कर रहा है, कुछ ये कर रहा है, फलाना कर रहा है, यार ये आपको नेगोशिएट कर रहा है, हम कैसे करेंगे इस तरह से। So sometimes, so we are trying our best, even by in the naming of our program, we are trying our best to go away from that canon for negotiation into something which may be just having a conversation. Maybe sometimes tough, but having a difficult conversation or a crucial conversation or a fierce conversation, but not so much of a negotiation. So on that, there is 13 more minutes to 6 o'clock. And I think there is summarization and all these things to be done. So would you like to start any of that right now? The last question, for example, to Junarji, to me.
So can we open for Q&A? So is it that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. We are open for the question and answers, sir.
ये बंद कर।
Very often in our business dealings, we find a single supplier is there.
हाँ,
At times, we find that in every cycle, the rates are being increased like anything. In
Huh.
such a situation, what is the best way of negotiating?
So a monopolistic supplier scenario is always the most tough scenario to negotiate. Sir, you are from the procurement team or?
No, I'm from finance.
Sir, Mohit Palpani, sir, heads the finance division at ISCO Steel Plant, one of the largest integrated steel plant of ours, sir.
Okay.
He's head of finance, sir.
Okay, sir. So a monopolistic supplier is the biggest, headache for a lot of procurement teams. Because Rajeshji, you have stopped the screen sharing, na? You can stop the screen sharing.
So you can stop from your end, sir. From the sharing part, you can go and stop.
Okay. So thank you. So when we talk about monopolistic suppliers, there has been a lot of research. It is not a problem that SAIL has. It is a global problem. And a lot of industries do have that monopolistic supplier issue. And the only method that has been largely recommended by the experts is creating relationships and engaging the monopolistic supplier into something of value to them. Now, when I was with Bennett Coleman, the Times of India group, Times of India had a monopolistic supplier, the machine manufacturer. Across the country, there was only one German company who had installed the high-speed, high-capacity printing machine for Times of India. And there was nobody else. And the spares, the surveys, the new installations, everything used to be a deep negotiation. What Times of India had offered to this company was only one thing, that whatever you want to do in India and grow in India, we will be your first support. So right from starting their first small office, giving them that space to start their first small office, to helping them create their service center in India, to helping them set up a small factory in India. So all that support was given by Times of India. And so these, small interdependability factors, if we are able to generate and, maintain the relationship. So these are the two, off the shelf, recommendations that I can present.
And then every case has its own nuances, the relationship, the business, the market position. So even if he is a monopoly supplier for you, you might be a very small buyer for him. That makes things again more difficult. So these are, case to case situations. But relationships and interdependability, two core concepts here.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And more importantly, when the German company went bankrupt in somewhere in 2018, Times of India also ensured that they get the funds to stay afloat. So everybody has some need at some point of time. If you are able to decipher those needs, when they need it. So it is about giving what they want. If you are able to, even for a monopolistic supplier, you are able to give them something more than and the value is always outside the core agenda. If we look back at the elevator case, the solution was not in in the main agenda. It was somewhere outside.
Rightly said, sir. वो phrase sir आपका presentation का है, now I remember. Are we able to anchor, get the market realities and anchor our priorities accordingly?
Yeah. Yes. Right. So the other, yes, sir. Any more questions? Yes.
Some more questions, we'll welcome.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
I want to know how to negotiate with finance department.
How to negotiate with
Finance department.
Possible.
What type of negotiation are you looking for?
That's good.
But I always thought finance was very easy, so very nice persons. For us,
They are all nice persons. Pandaji, they are all nice persons.
Yeah.
How to negotiate to get the budget out of it so that
very easy. Always go and discuss with them beforehand, before putting up the proposal. Tell them we have to want to do this. How much you will give the budget? Accordingly, move the proposal. Our proposal always gets cleared like that.
Next time
Have a cup of tea. That's what I used to do with Malpani sir also during my time tenure in Dhaka.
साथ में ले जाएंगे next time.
Malpani sir, am I right?
Yeah.
Is it a wrong process?
You have to justify your proposal.
Absolutely.
More than
That's
that.
what I'm telling, sir. But always, before putting up the proposal, it's to have a discussion beforehand. It is much better, isn't it, sir?
True, sir.
Right.
Right, sir.
Shekhar sir, can we or Ninad sir, can we have some views, sir, of yours, if it is the same, or sir?
So internal negotiations
This is one very good idea.
very good idea, in fact. And before you go for the actual dialogue, some informal discussion, getting some idea about what is the financial plan, whether what objectives of the IT team. I see the question has come from the IT team. So objectives, whether the objectives of the IT team are part of the larger set of objectives of the organization for this year. So whether these things gel, whether whether there are some commonality in the idea, there is some common ground for the finance to gain out of it. So if the IT team is implementing a P2P software, so the finance department can have very different reactions. So one reaction when we implemented P2P in Bennett Coleman was अरे finance में तो job चला जाएगा सबका, P2P आ जाएगा तो finance में से आके मैं तो नहीं approve करूँगा P2P का budget. So can we find this common ground and understand the need
In advance.
in advance?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Great idea. Great idea.
Any more question we can take?
Yes, we have some time.
We are on time, sir. उसका दिक्कत नहीं है. 1-2 मिनट से बस.
Time for
Broadly, we are on time, sir. And we'll just give some final pause. If there are any questions, or in the chat box, if someone want to put it in the chat box also.
So a lot of comments on the chat box also. Thank you for those comments. Somebody has said excellent analogy. One who wants something from us. Person's effectiveness matters. Somebody has also Rajesh has said some
So
books.
I took the time, and so meanwhile the books that you were sharing, I will share the thing. I will also share on their internal groups also, sir.
So the book references we will also share over a mail with the presentation. So
That would be help, sir. That will help, sir. So if there are no more questions, sir, if I will also share your contact info, because I got it a personal request to share your contact info to the group. So if I have your permission, I can share them in the group also, sir.
Rajesh, can we summarize the discussion we have?
Sir, we will, sir. We will just giving a wait for the final question. So thank you for your Q&A session, sir, and thank you all the participants, sir. Now to proceed further, we would request Sanjay Dhar, sir, CGM HR L&D, sir. Sir, can you please share the summary of the proceedings and also, sir, closing?
Yes.
Sir, it's muted, sir.
I think it would be better if Ninad sir and Shekhar sir can kind of quickly sum up the proceedings for us, because I think they were planning to kind of sum up the discussion before we proceed further.
Okay.
Yeah, I will share my screen.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that, sir.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, it is visible, sir.
Yeah. So some core principles. The principles that we started with, like every individual or entity in your value chain is a customer. And when you position yourself as a supplier of his needs, you are in a better position to make the first offer and get that advantage. The learning or the insight or the takeaway, give them what they want at your terms. It cannot be. So we have to ensure that we have. So it's a simple saying even in sales. Don't say no to a customer. Give them what they want. But when you give them what they want, ensure your terms are solid and you get your things in return. Organizations do need a framework on negotiating technique. In modern times, it cannot be left to the individual's abilities and the personal effectiveness. It has to be somewhere brought up to a level where results across geographies are common. Cabbage before ice cream, you always ask your child to पहले सब्जी खाओ फिर ice cream मिलेगा. So condition before offer, never give something without getting something back. Have the conditions ready. This is part of your preparation. We spoke about preparations are very important, and these conditions, when we do the 2-day workshop, how to develop these conditions, how to bring up those wish lists. That is. So this program was more about what to do. In 1 hour, probably we could only bring up what to do. How to do is definitely a facilitation, thing that we offer. But that is a separate part, definitely. Prepare well, take positions, and try to make the first proposal. That is key. Decode the science and find common ground. So everybody talks about strategy. Negotiation strategy क्या होगा? Strategy क्या होगा? If you are able to decode the science behind this, establish a framework, and find common ground with an empathic view of the other side, the strategies automatically emerge. Believe me, I am a practitioner of negotiations, structured negotiations, for the last 8 years. Before that, I was a procurement person, I was a salesperson, but I was not a practitioner of structured negotiation. Once you decode the science and have common ground, the strategies emerge automatically. There is no rocket science for the strategies. क्या strategy लाओ? ऐसा कोई लिखित strategy नहीं है. Every negotiation is an opportunity to create value. There is a lot of time we leave value on the table. We are not able to unlock value. Value creation happens when you expand the core agenda. value is not in the core agenda. It is always outside the core agenda. The solutions are also outside the core agenda. When there are conflicts, there are difference of opinions, please move out of the core agenda, look for the larger interest, and look beyond your position. Generally, we take very strong positions. Rather than positions, look at the interest. That is a change in mindset we can bring in. You need to be empathic to decipher others' needs. Not everyone is going to come to you and say that this is my need. No, empathy can help you understand what others want without them speaking about it. And the moment you can give them what they want without them asking for it, that is a moment of delight, a customer delight. कि मैंने तो पूछा भी नहीं फिर भी मुझे मिल गया जो चाहिए था. So bring those things into practice. How to practice empathy is also a process that we do during the workshop. It is not so easy, but then we do have some very solid processes to that. Competency can sometimes restrict lateral thinking. So most of us are engineers or technical people or accounting people, finance people. So we are brought up with this idea of right or wrong, and competency gives us that thing that yes, this is right, this is wrong. But then that restricts lateral thinking. Anchor your position, and to conclude this, never react. Negotiations need mindful responses. Emotions, instantaneous reactions can be a big, roadblock into this project. Anger, frustration. So this is how we would like to summarize this short session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And sorry to just miss this part. This was the gold dust part, sir, I must say. So,
Yes.
Sanjay sir.
Thank you, Rajesh. So you will appreciate that being mindful has its advantages and being patient has its advantages. When the house could hear from the expert, there was no point in my summarizing it. And I'd like to thank the faculty for sharing their time and sharing their insights on a subject that has nuances, that has certain subtleties which we again need to remind ourselves about. We do these things in and out, but as I said, the negotiation is about being mindful. So we need to really start reflecting back on whether we are regressing to our style or we are actually taking the situation as it is. Whether we are doing what we call distributive bargaining or are we doing integrative bargaining? Are we really expanding the pie and finding value outside? I really appreciated the point about being open to the possibility that the value is outside the core agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a really very powerful insight because sometimes focusing very sharply on the core agenda tends to tunnel vision, and that creates deadlocks in negotiation. Going beyond the position to the interests. I mean, that was something again. It's easy to state, but it's very difficult to remember while you are negotiating.
Yes.
You get hung up on the negotiation, and I appreciated that fact about negotiating being the art of giving people what they want at your terms.
Yes.
That qualifier was something beautiful, and you're looking at this exercise as an exercise of creating value with empathy and using a science so that it doesn't become too person specific, and I don't get too jittery about whether I have it in me to negotiate or not.
Correct.
I think a lot of us have this hesitation about whether we are really good negotiators or not.
Yes.
And we can err either way. Sometimes we have this wrong notion that we are great negotiators and we mess up. And sometimes we are so hesitant because we think we are not great negotiators. So the science does really help. And thank you for sharing with us the insight about the science being the foundation which enables the art to play out.
Yeah.
So was a very, very insightful interaction. And I thank all my participants, the CGMs and executive directors. And for me, this is a negotiating process of getting them to devote 1 hour for these things within their busy schedules. Thank you all for sparing your time and giving your complete attention on this. And I understand what we can do through Antardrishti is create an insight. But to create a deeper experience, maybe we need to do something deeper, and that's what we'll explore going forward. And depending on the kind of feedback that we get from the house, I'm sure we have triggered a thought process. We have triggered some actionable points for some people, but taking it forward, I'm sure our people will not really, they have got value for it, but I'm sure they will, derive more value when they start applying those principles. So thank you very much for your time. And I'd like to thank all the participants also for their time. Thank you, Rajesh. It's over to you. Huh?
Thank you, Sanjay sir.
Ji.
Thank you all the participants for joining us. Special thanks to Ninad sir and Shekhar sir, presenting such complex and such valuable topic in such a lucid and a simple manner, sir. Thank you all, sir. Thank you all, sir. And we will now close the meeting, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sanjeev. We can close it now.